There is a very important aspect of fitness that most people seriously mess up, and that is the idea of bulking. This is because many people simply have no idea how to bulk. They have not considered the facts that I'm about to share with you today in this video. What many people will do is they'll try to gain muscle and lose fat at the exact same time. But ultimately, I believe that that's actually costing you a serious amount of progress. It's better to full focus on bulking and then full focus on cutting. And this is the general strategy for bodybuilding today. More specifically, in this video, we're going to discuss bulking and exactly how you're going to do it. I made another video about cutting down body fat, so go check that out if you need to. In general, here's a basic outline for what we're going to discuss today of what makes up the perfect diet for bulking. And that's going to be calories, protein, quality and healthy food, and training. If you follow all of that, you will have the perfect diet for bulking. So let's get started. But first, I want to tell you about my full bodybuilding program, which I linked down below in the first link of the description. This program is going to have everything you need to know about bodybuilding, ranging from some of the best workouts, some of the best workout splits, some of the best exercises, some of the best diets for bulking and cutting, and also just general lifestyle tips. But let's get back to the video. So the idea of bulking is very simple. Just eat more calories than you burn. And more specifically, this is called being in a calorie surplus. And calories are really important because they'll fuel you throughout your day, throughout your workouts, and they actually also give your body the energy in order to carry the protein and amino acids to your muscles. So calories are obviously very important. And how do you actually end up knowing if you're in a surplus? Well, the first thing you need to really find out is how many calories your body burns per day. And that's basically going to be called your maintenance calories. You can figure out your maintenance calories by going online and searching in Google like maintenance calorie calculator or something like that, and then just click on one of the calculators and it'll spit out your maintenance calories that you need to know. And so once you find your maintenance calories, you need to be eating 300 calories more than your maintenance calories. And this is called being in a 300 calorie surplus. And I would suggest being in a 300 calorie surplus at the very beginning to start. And then over time, if your progress starts to stagnate and slow down, then you can increase your calorie intake. Small increments like a couple hundred. And the reason why I choose, and also why a bunch of other fitness people choose this calorie surplus for beginners, is because most people want to limit the amount of fat gain they're going to have. And eating only 300 calories more than your maintenance calories is really going to help to limit the amount of fat gain while also being able to provide you with optimal muscle gain. Also, if you're not worried about gaining fat, that's great because the more calories that you eat per day, the more muscles that you're going to build. So if you aren't too worried about gaining a lot of fat like I used to be, then you might be able to gain a lot more muscle than if you were to just eat in a 300 calorie surplus. But like I said, this 300 calorie surplus is designed to limit fat gain and also to provide you with muscle gain. So now that we know the amount of calories that you need to eat per day, you need to make sure that you're eating these calories spread throughout multiple meals throughout the day. And this is for two reasons. Number one, it's to actually help you not feel so stuffed full of food when you're eating. That's because your calories will be spread out throughout the day and you won't have to cram in as much food per meal as you would if you were to only eat like 1 or 2 meals per day, which you definitely don't want to do. And more specifically, aim at the beginning to eat about 4 to 6 meals. And the second reason is because you want to promote something called muscle protein synthesis, which is basically what I like to think of this bar of protein synthesis that you want to keep as high as possible for as long as possible. Over time, if you stop eating protein during the day, that bar starts to slope downwards. And then when you eat protein again, it spikes back up. And what we want to do is we want to keep that bar as high as possible for as long as possible. And that's going to happen by eating more meals more frequently throughout the day. That's obviously assuming that you're eating enough protein each meal, which is exactly what we're going to get into right now. The next topic is protein consumption. And honestly, it's very confusing online in this day and age. Like, how much protein do you need to eat in one day? And a lot of people will say you need 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. Some people say you need 0.5 grams per pound of body weight. But what a lot of people will say is you need 1 gram per pound of body weight. And I don't exactly agree with that. And here's why. For example, if there's a 300-pound fat person, they definitely do not need 300 grams of protein per day. The only people who really need to be eating their body weight and their protein are people who have very low amounts of body fat. So for example, on the low end, someone who's 120 pounds, skinny, doesn't really work out, almost no body fat, should probably aim to eat about 120 grams of protein per day. And then on the high end, a 200-pound shredded jacked person should aim to eat about 200 grams of protein per day. This is mainly just because they have extremely low amounts of body fat. See, the problem is when people say to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, they aren't considering that some people have high amounts of body fat. So I've created this range where the 120-pound skinny person and the 200-pound shredded jacked guy are two extremes on this range of basically eating 120 to 200 grams of protein per day. And since we considered that 120-pound skinny person and the 200-pound shredded person to be the extremes on that range, this range of protein per day encompasses almost everyone. For example, someone might be 300 pounds, really fat, but once they cut all that body fat down, they might only be about 150 pounds, which means that they lie in this range. I think most people lie within the range of 120 to 200 grams of protein based on this range that I've created. Not only this, it also eliminates the confusion. So just aim for 120 to 200 grams of protein per day. It's a lot easier to aim within a range of protein than just have to aim for one number. And there will be some days where you can't eat a whole lot of protein. So some days you might only get to 120 grams, which is okay because that's why I've created this wide range. It eliminates the confusion and it makes it a lot easier to understand. So in conclusion, it's fine to eat within 120 to 200 grams of protein per day. And in general, calories and protein are the most important things to count. I think it's really only important to count calories and protein. However, carbs and fats, which are the other macronutrients, are also very important. Fats are going to help regulate your hormones like your testosterone, and carbs are going to help fuel your workouts and fuel your muscles to actually receive the protein in your body. So with that being said, I would suggest obviously eating 300 calories in a surplus, 120 to 200 grams of protein per day, and then to eliminate the confusion, I would say just eat moderate amounts of fats and carbs. I don't think there's any need for all that brain rot, like you need to have 25% of your calories go to fats and eat 1.5 grams per pound of body weight of carbs. Like, it doesn't really have to be that complicated. It can be a lot simpler than that. I think if you just have a certain amount of calories per day, which is that 300 calorie surplus, devote some of those calories to 120 to 200 grams of protein per day, and then just use the rest of the remaining calories to eat moderate fats and carbs. And you can judge if you're eating a moderate amount of fats and carbs just by looking at your plate. I would say if you follow that framework, you'll be completely fine. So the third thing we're going to discuss is getting your calories and your macros from actual healthy quality food. And this means eliminating foods that fall under the category of having all the BS processed ingredients, like the long list of ingredients you might see on like a bag of chips or something. We want to eliminate that food from our diet. We want to only choose food that are the base ingredient. And basically, what does that mean, really? And basically, what that means is that we're going to choose food where the only ingredient in that food is itself. So for example, a potato. The only ingredient in a potato is the actual potato itself. Same with like a steak. The only ingredient in a steak is a steak. So that's the type of food we want to choose for this diet. These foods are going to help you see the most progress on your fitness journey. They're also going to help your mind, body, and your gut as well. And they're also going to eliminate cravings. So all those cravings that all the normal people have when they eat their fast food junk bullshit and their processed chips, like they have cravings every day because they eat those addictive foods. But if we stick to these foods that have only the base ingredient, we're not going to really have that craving after a while. And the nice thing about this diet is that even while choosing the base ingredients, you still have a wide variety of foods to choose from to create meals. Some examples of protein sources are like meat, eggs, and dairy products. Some dairy products are like cheese, milk, and yogurt. Examples of fats are like nuts, nut butters, seeds, lentils, avocados, and oils as well. Some good oil choices are like olive oil and coconut oil. Examples of carbs are rice, potatoes, honey, oats, and other fruits and vegetables. So yeah, that's a long list of different types of foods that you have to choose from. So it'll be a lot of variety, which is good for sustainability and also good for your mind, body, and your gut, and just general health as well. And the last thing that we're going to discuss is intense resistance training. Even if you have the perfect diet like we've already talked about and you don't train, it doesn't mean a single thing, because resistance training is actually what gives you the muscles. The nutrition is just what fuels your muscles to actually rebuild themselves. So on top of all the nutrition that we've discussed already, you have to resistance train. And again, like I said, I have that full bodybuilding guide down below in the description where I discuss everything to do with training as well as the nutrition that we've already been talking about. So yeah, that's everything that I promised to teach you today. Of course, you can't pull any of this off if you aren't staying consistent and if you aren't getting the proper amount of rest, which that goes without saying. If you found this video helpful and valuable, please subscribe down below and give me a like. It'll show me that you found this video valuable. And be sure to stay tuned for next time. I'm going to be posting 3 videos every week discussing training, diet, and general lifestyle tips for success in fitness. And most importantly, go out there, crush your goals, and of course, take care.